Welcome to our show, Dolly Vyas-Ahuja, Vegan, a true voice for Ahimsa, part 1 of 2. Today, we are privileged to feature a charismatic lady, Dolly Vyas-Ahuja, whose powerful example of unconditional love and tireless work for our precious animal friends in the last 5 years are worthy of our high esteem and accolades. Her impassioned plea for benevolence towards our voiceless animal co-inhabitants, based on her motherland, India's age-old tenet of Ahimsa, carries more relevance now than ever. In a world imperiled by an unprecedented pandemic and an ever-deepening climate change crisis, Dolly moved with her family to the USA as a 1-year-old. Although her family had traditionally been vegetarian, she was allowed to adopt a non-vegetarian diet. One day, in April 2014, however, she came across a speech online known as the greatest speech ever by renowned animal freedom fighter Gary Yourofsky. She was so shocked by the graphic depictions of what occurs behind closed doors on the factory farms of the world that she had an emotional breakdown that night, turning vegan from that day on. Becoming vegan awakened Dolly to the long spiritual heritage of her motherland, which is centered around the concept of Ahimsa. The Sanskrit word Ahimsa translates as non-violence or cause no harm.
The word Ahimsa came from India 5,000 years ago by the Upanishads. And the word Ahimsa means non-violence to all living beings. Not just human beings, but all sentient beings. In everything we think, in everything we say, in everything we do. And the word Ahimsa is so elegant, empowering, and enduring because it describes our character. Said so beautifully by Philip Whelan.
Dolly's chance encounter with Gary Yourofsky's YouTube speech marked the beginning of her ardent activism against what she sees as the greatest social justice issue of our time, speciesism. The platform of her vegan activism includes temples, schools, conferences, sanctuaries, veg fests, protests, rallies, and online venues. Soon after turning vegan, Dolly was invited by the president of the Jain Society of Houston, Miss Urvashi Jain, to deliver a speech at her temple. The theme of her speech was why dairy is not Ahimsa. Dolly's passionate speech that day at the Jain temple struck a chord with the audience.
I was very, very nervous, and my voice shook, but I spoke anyway. But when I was done, a teenage boy came up to me and said, "You know, I no longer can have dairy products anymore after listening to you." And I started having tears in my eyes. And a few parents came up to me and told me that their children were lactose intolerant. And I said, yes, they need to get onto a plant-based dairy.
Dolly has never looked back.
So soon after that, we started a WhatsApp group, all the women at the temple. And we started exchanging recipes and videos and education. I noticed on Sunday school, they stopped giving milk to the children at the school. They would also start making their Indian tea from soy or cashew milk. When it was time to light the diva in the temple, they used coconut oil. And the former president also went vegan. So I was really happy. A lot of progress was made in that temple.
Dolly upholds the ethics behind Ahimsa in all forms, decrying not just meat and dairy, but also the use of honey, silk, eggs, and leather. She is dismayed that India, where cows are held sacred, is today one of the largest exporters of leather in the world.
You know, many of these cows are alive. Their skin is ripped alive. The sad thing is, a lot of children are forced to do this. You know, who are poor, just need a few rupees to put food on the table or whatever, are called in to do this kind of work. And just imagine how this affects the mind of the child and the people who have to do this day in and day out. This is terrible. Who would support such a thing? It's not a bag, it's violence. Or it's not a leather belt, it's not a leather jacket, it's violence. If you would just take some time and go and see how they make a leather, you would never want to be part of it.
It is truly unfortunate that little children in some parts of the world have to live hand to mouth in this day and age. We pray sincerely that a vegan golden era will dawn soon, one in which all beings live in peace and abundance, free from hunger and suffering. Let us now take a short pause for an important message. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to our show. Dolly's biggest dream is to turn her motherland vegan. Although India is known for its philosophy of non-violence and vegetarianism, Dolly says that modern dairy production in India is a far cry from the cruelty-free ways of the days of Lord Mahavira and Lord Krishna.
A lot of people don't know, but India is one of the largest beef exporters in this world. You know, people in India are eating dairy maybe 4, 5, 6 times a day. And there's close to maybe 500 million heads of cattle in India. All these male cows, there's no use for them. So a lot of times the farmer will starve the cow and say nature took its course, or the farmer will put the male cow onto the street and the cow is eating plastic and maybe die that way. And another thing they're doing is called kalbacha, where they're killing the baby calf and stuffing it and putting it next to mother cow so she'd produce a little bit more milk. There's so much cruelty going on in the dairy industry.
What also galls Dolly is the painful forced insemination without anesthesia and the inhumane separation of mother cow and calf in dairy farms throughout the world. In a speech at the Jane Center of Southern California in Buena Park, California in 2018, she exposed the dark side of the dairy industry.
Now on dairy farms, baby cows are torn away from their mother immediately or within hours of birth, just so humans can drink the milk that was nature made for the baby calf. Now let me give you an example. Let's say we were at the hospital and we just had our baby, and somebody comes in and just snatches that baby before the doctor could even bring the baby to our chest and hear our heartbeat for the first time. Imagine how that could feel, and imagine if this happened to us over and over and over again. A mother cow will bellow for her baby for months. It's the most excruciating sound you will ever hear. Women are fundamental to life. Mother Earth is the feminine, the divine, and without her we don't have seed. Females carry life, and without her, there is no life. The dairy industry is at the core of the deepest betrayal of motherhood and the female body.
Understandably, Dolly is determined to rekindle in the hearts of her countryfolk the love for all God's creatures as taught by the greatest sages through the ages.
We need to get this word Ahimsa back that originated in our country because we've become so far away from it. So we need to bring Ahimsa back, bring salvation, equality, liberty, harmony, and love back home.
To achieve that goal, Dolly has been working tirelessly on a feature-length documentary entitled The Land of Ahimsa, which is scheduled for release in late 2020. The film is directed by acclaimed Bollywood actor turned director Ariman Ramsey.
And The Land of Ahimsa covers my journey of going vegan overnight and going back to India, to my motherland, with 2 new set of eyes to see animal cruelty for the first time. And the movie covers, you know, a lot of amazing people here in the United States and in India. We interview activists here in the U.S. and in India. we have covered plant-based doctors, sanctuaries, PETA India, Indian vegan entrepreneurs, businesses that have been popping up in India. So the land of Ahimsa covers all aspects, the cruelty, the ethics, our planet, and our health.
Among the many notable persons featured in the documentary are medical doctors who will testify that a well-balanced plant-based diet is far superior to an animal-based diet. Our gratitude goes out to Dolly for being such a true voice for Ahimsa and opening our hearts to the universal love for all sentient beings. May God reward you abundantly for your generous heart and noble efforts to help save all beings on earth. To learn more about Dolly Vyas-Ahuja or Land of Ahimsa, please visit thelandofahimsa.com. Noble viewers, it has been a pleasure to have your company for today's program.